Hello everyone. Welcome to Super Coaching UPSC by Textbook. This is Venkatesh, your faculty for geography. And in this session, I'm going to discuss about the border disputes of India. So students, you might have seen about the conflict with India, China, the Gulf clashes, which was still very much active in our brains considering the impact it has created in the during the time of corona, right? We have seen the kind of challenges of that. Now, why border disputes were there in India? What are the major border disputes? How questions can be asked out of that? Let us discuss about all such kind of things in today's session. Say example, when you see the India's border disputes, if you see the India's long border line, we have almost around 15,200 kilometers extent of land border, having the states of Kashmir, the states of, or the rather the union territories of Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya. With Pakistan, you have the regions of Punjab, Rajasthan, and even the Gujarat states. So if you see that, we have around a decent amount of state boundary, decent amount of boundaries with our neighbors, and the neighbors boundary we are having along with the rugged boundary of the topography of the Himalayas, which make it even more dynamic in nature. The rugged topography, the things which are having, that has a significant impact in terms of the relationship between our neighbors. Say, mostly when you talk about India-Nepal borderline, it is a plain border. It's a region where when you are coming from Nepal to India, here almost Himalayas are completing. You are coming from the Terai grasslands towards India. So mostly the boundary dispute with that, the nature is not that dynamic. But of late, even in China, even in Nepal, under the influence of, say, the political influence or the geopolitical influence, geopolitical influence of China over Nepal, and so much kind of conflict ridden with respect to India versus China. When you see the conflict, if you see the conflict between India versus China, even Nepal is claiming around certain border disputes with India. Recently, you have seen that last year, the Nepalese parliament has discussed about the border disputes with India, right? So such things you are finding that. So one such thing, it is because of the topography or the terrain, right? So keeping that into considerations, let us see the major border disputes which you have, say with China. Now, if you talk about the China's border dispute, it is the second most state. Almost we have around border disputes, almost having around 4,050 kilometers. We have a decent boundary with China. After Bangladesh is the highest. Then when you talk about China, we can divide them into three parts: the western sector, the middle sector, and the eastern sector. The perceived McMahon line, which is regarded as a boundary dispute between India and China, is part of the eastern sector with Arunachal Pradesh. This is the McMahon line. Let's wait, let's see the comments. Okay. Right. Then when you see this, the points of concern which we have with respect to India, China, the conflict with India, China has an issue of the rugged terrain of the Himalayas here. Locating the rugged terrain, locating the boundary within the dynamic topography of Himalayas is in itself a challenge. So the historical challenge with respect to the British policy and all, the Britishers, when they have created the boundary dispute with Jammu and Kashmir, when they have tried to see the dispute, there is one such area which is a very controversial area, which is regarded as the Aksai Chin area of Ladakh, which Chinese claim this as part of the Tibet. In fact, Ladakh is called as Little Tibet according to them. So the Chinese call this area as part of their area. And the boundary dispute which is happening with respect to India and China, even in the past when India was part of the British India and the kingdom of Jammu and Kashmir and all the things when they have handled, what they have observed was there were two important lines which were identified by India's British India. So there is one line called Johnson line, right? This is the Johnson line, and there is another line which was redrawn called as McDonald line or McCartney-McDonald line. McCartney-McDonald line. Now you see these two lines were drawn during the British India between the kingdoms of China as well, or the Tibet as well as the Ladakh region. These were disputed right now. India rightly claims that this is the Johnson line is the right boundary as per the historical debate between the Ladakh and China. The McCarthy-McDonald line is the right line according to China, but the present line is beyond both into the land of India, the line of actual control. This is the LAC. The thing with LAC is, though they have broadly accepted that this is the LAC line, even marking the LAC on the ground level, there were challenges, which is the reason why we have the conflict with respect to Galwan Valley few years ago, right? So there is a line which is broadly accepted by both the countries, but marking line on the ground, once again there is a dispute, hence both of them conflicting. Now usually, whenever you talk about any conflict, any kind of a border dispute, there would be some reasons or there would be some advantage for one country. For example, the South China dispute in terms of islands gives them the economic resource access of the continental shelves, which have significant vast resources of oils, natural gas, or else even the fisheries. But that is perhaps not the case with respect to the Aksai Chin. Now, why it is the reason? In fact, if you see the Aksai Chin area, it's a vast land of a huge area, which is nothing but, I would consider that as we can consider that as a wasteland because it doesn't have much resources, agriculture is hardly practiced, minerals are hardly available. So what is the availability or what is the utility of that land? The thing for Chinese which they claim is, it is a crucial connecting point about the two areas of China, that is the areas of Xinjiang and the Tibet. There is a roadway line which is passing through this region. So there is a crucial highway, expressway, which is passing through the Aksai Chin area, or the connectivity, rather I would say that it is the connectivity between the Tibet province of China with the Xinjiang province of China. That is the reason why they wanted to claim this. Now if you can see this is the line, or you can see this is the G219. G219 is the express, is the important route where it is connecting with respect to this area. You can see this is the Aksai Chin area, and you can see this is the connecting Xinjiang with Tibet, right? So that's where this becomes a very, very strategically important point for China. You see, there will be always certain reasons why they are important. You can see when you talk about, say, Arunachal Pradesh, even you have seen the instances of China claiming Arunachal Pradesh part of their territory. Even they say that some of the times the citizens of India, whenever they are going on a visit to China from the Arunachal Pradesh, they have an issue of even giving stapled visas. So the visas will be stapled. That indicates that talking about the dispute, the reason was very simple. When you talk about the Arunachal Pradesh, the stapled visa issue as such, you see here, one of the conflict you can say that they wanted to use Arunachal Pradesh as a bargaining chip for Aksai Chin. Or another reason also which you can say is water is an important strategical significance. So Arunachal Pradesh is a huge water-rich region, and that will be utilizing for their benefits. So that is also one perspective which cannot be, say in the present era of climate change, when water happens to be one of the major conflict for so many regions across the world, this also could be a prospective thing in developing, right? So such things, when UPSC asks questions, you can see the reasons. These are the reasons which you need to understand to answer in the interview. Whereas from the prelims point of view, it is purely mapping. Say one such mapping, they would be asking Johnson line, McCarthy, McDonald line are associated with region, with regions of Aksai Chin of India-China dispute, right? Then line of actual control passes through which of the regions? So there is a lake here, Pangong Tso Lake. What is this lake? Is it completely in Ladakh? Is it in Himachal Pradesh? Is it in the regions of China? They might ask you such kind of questions. Also, they can ask you about the Chushul Valley. Recently, it was in news. Chushul Valley. It has a significant event with respect to the 1962 war, right? So these are the popular places where they can ask you about questions, right? Moving forward. See, broadly, even though Arunachal Pradesh is largely also having a dispute, but they still claim, but that can be, the present boundary would be the eventual boundary. There is still a debate, discussions happening. There is a lack of trust between both the countries now, right, because of the historical clashes and all, and also the rising geopolitical conflict, right? So with respect to the, when you see that 21st century belongs to the two countries of India and China, how do you wanted to see that? There is always a clash, dispute about that. That is one such conflict we had. And moving forward, okay, so with the regions of Sikkim and Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, the middle sector, there is not much of a conflict. Though Chinese conflict is there, we can see some of them entering into this area. You can see the Doklam Valley. This is the region of Doklam Valley, India, Bhutan, China region, where you have seen some kind of skirmishes in the past. So having said that, these are the major places you wanted to remember with respect to China. Then when you talk about India and Nepal, you can see the same disputes through the prism of geopolitical significance of India versus China itself here. Nepal, I would say that this is a sandwiched country, right? So under the two big brothers, it is becoming sandwiched. That's what we can say so. Nevertheless, you can see the same issue even in the Maldives. So such kind of conflicts, we have to be carefully observing that. Recently, Nepal, when you are having a conflict, there are three such places which are in use. One, the Lipu Lake Pass, which is very, very nearer to the boundary with Nepal. So it is at the tri-junction mountain pass of India, China, Nepal. India, China, Nepal. The Kailash Manasarovar pilgrims enter into the Tibetan region toward this pass. So it's an important pass. Recently, Nepal says that it belongs to their territory. Also, we have seen that another such place very nearer to it is Kalapani, and the river which passes as a boundary between India and Nepal, you can see here the Kali River. Another dispute which is in making is about how the rivers of Himalayan rivers are known for shifting courses, and these shifting courses are causing conflict with respect to their position on the ground level. The same such boundary issue can also be seen between UP and Bihar as well, where there is a dispute with respect to the shifting courses of the Himalayan rivers. That is also being observed, right? So these are the major things. Similarly, another pass very near to it, the Limpidhara Pass, this is also in conflict. So they will ask you about which of the following places are border disputes with respect to Nepal. They can ask you such kind of questions in the prelims. Then you might be waiting about the boundary disputes with respect to India, Pakistan, the famous such place. So when you talk about the boundary dispute with Pakistan, the Ratcliffe line, the Ratcliffe partition line, 1947, it is a dispute between India and Pakistan, and the Ratcliffe line is the line which demarcates the boundary with Pakistan. We all have seen that. But once the dispute has happened, we have seen the dispute seeing in multiple angles with respect to the Kashmir, the regions of Jammu and Kashmir, be it the Kashmir Valley, be it the Gilgit-Baltistan region, the region of Siachen Glacier, all such kind of things. The places becomes very, very important. Let me show you the places. Okay, so if you show it here, just a minute. So you can see here, within this, the regions, Jammu and Kashmir, you can see the major places here. The Siachen Glacier, 70 kilometers long, which is controlled by India. This is one such place, Siachen Glacier. Where is Siachen Glacier? You have to see that the location, Siachen Glacier, located north of Nubra Valley. Siachen Glacier, located north of Nubra Valley, right? This is the tributary of, this is part of the Indus River system, Nubra River. Now this Siachen Glacier is a very important strategic point of Karakoram Highway, strategic point of Karakoram Highway. So if you control the Siachen Glacier, you are actually controlling the accessibility of the Karakoram Highway, which is very crucial from the Gwadar port of Pakistan towards the Chinese area. The Belt and Road Initiative, which cuts across this region, will be having the accessibility towards this point. So Siachen Glacier, though because of the the nature of the climate here, still it is a very, 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 very important point considering its geopolitical importance at the conflict of two major countries, India, China, so as with Pakistan, right? So Siachen Glacier, we have seen that conflict even in the past with respect to India and Pakistan, right? So very near to it, you can see the Saltoro Ridge. Saltoro Ridge, you can see here the Saltoro Ridge claimed by India as part of the Kashmir. Here itself, you will find the Saltoro Ridge, very near to this. Now, similarly, one such things about China, another name which we need to remember is about the region of, here, the Depsang Plains. Depsang Plains. So one such place I forgot to mention here. Depsang Plains. Then even India is constructing the road connectivity throughout these areas. It is very much in use. So there is a road which you have collected, DBO road, which we call it as Daulata Beg Oldie Road. Daulata Beg Oldie Road. We have connected that with respect to the nearby areas of the Galwan Valley. So these are also very much in use. Such kind of things are very important. And when you can see here, there is one more point here, NJ9842, the actual ground line position. So you can see that. Where is this point? Right. So NJ98482 point, NJ9842. This is also one kind of a conflict. It's a point of the strategic significance here with respect to the line of control of Pakistan, right? So such places are very much in use. And then there is another thing which is in use, the Sar Creek dispute with respect to Pakistan. Sar Creek. If you see the Sar Creek dispute, it is a dispute which is it's a water body in the Rann of Kutch region. So it may be a small strip of water, but it is having immense economic significance because of two things. So as I have told you, whenever you are having a boundary dispute, imagine country A, this is country A, this is country B. Every region can claim up to 200 nautical miles, right, from their boundary line, be it for their economic activity of fishing or else the mineral exploration of oil and natural gas. So, Sir Creek was claimed in this narrow body of water. It is claimed because of the fishing responsibilities as well as the economic activity of fossil fuel exploration. So, because of two reasons, there is a water war between India and Pakistan, and such kind of war has been seen in these parts of the world. You can see between these two places, you can see the conflict, and because it's a very near to each other, 200 nautical miles might not be agreed as part of the law of the sea of the United Nations, but then there has to be an agreement between both the countries. So that is the reason why there is a dispute, and the Pakistanis claim until the green color line so that they can have more access to the water, and India claims until to the red color line so that we will have a minor accessibility of resources. See, all these are disputes which will be continuing forever as long as we are having the conflict with respect to Kashmir. Once the major Kashmir conflict is resolved, all these things are resolved in a simple go. This is one such thing. And for our easy information, what I have done is I have given all the major places and the places which you have the conflict and all, some of the major places at one place. This map will give you a complete picture of all the major places where they could possibly ask about the static portion. Then we have to add with respect to the current affairs. Say recently, if you talk about the water war between India and Pakistan, we also had a water war with respect to, the Ravi water dispute. That is also one of the conflict which is brewing, right? So such places, I will do one separate video on the water war between India and Pakistan, one separate thing. Hope you all have understood about these major border disputes, the places in news which are very important from your prelims 2024. Right. So for more such information, you can get into the Telegram channel, and if you want the PDF file, you can get into the Telegram channel. The maps would be shared to you, and accordingly, that's it about today. Hope you will have understood. Any kind of doubt, you can always get into the Telegram channel and ask me. Have a wonderful learning. Until meet next time, it's goodbye. Jai Hind. Happy learnings. Thank you.